In the book of Jeremiah, chapter 31, Jeremiah teaches us, V'yesh tikva la'acharitech. There is hope for the future. Some people in our country today are feeling very hopeful for this new adventure we're about to begin, and others are more cautious. Today, we're going to dive in to how we move forward and how change is fundamental to who we are as Jews and as people. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm David Paskin here with Rabbi Alan Litwak. Again, it's good to see you. How you doing, Rabbi?
I'm doing great. How are you, Rabbi David?
Fantastic. I'm wonderful. I spent the morning building our engineering garden out there.
Yeah, I'm totally excited about that, as
I'm
I
very
have
excited.
said.
And this afternoon, I get to go to Home Depot and buy a whole bunch of stuff that I really shouldn't be buying because I don't understand it. I don't know how to use it, but that's okay. So I wanted to start today with a quote, and this is a quote from Amanda Gorin, the poet who spoke yesterday at the inauguration. She said in her poem, "The Hill We Climb," and so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true, that even as we grieved, we grew. That even as we hurt, we hoped. That even as we tried, we tried. That even as we tired, we tried. That will forever be tied together victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. When I heard her say that, I was brought to that verse from Jeremiah, that there is hope. And one of the things that she captured for me was this sense of transition that every inauguration brings, but there's for me at least, a really palpable sense of there is a change happening. And the reason we're talking about it this week is because there's a change happening in our Torah also, as the Israelites begin this new life of theirs outside of Egypt, not as slaves anymore. And so I was hoping that we could dive in a little bit, Rabbi, to what it means in Jewish tradition to transition, to change, to grow, to end and to begin again. I don't know if you want to start us out with any thoughts that you might have.
I think there's the other piece of how do we let go of what is now in the past. I've been earlier this week.
Big question. That's been one of my big questions, by the way.
Sure.
Sorry.
Sure. And I was thinking about it because earlier this week, in preparation for Holocaust and Genocide Remembrance Week, FIU Hillel asked me to reflect on remembrance. And I suggested that remembrance is a careful cultivation of memory to let go of transgressions long mended or wounds that have healed. And yet at the same time, remembrance is also the holding onto of crucial lessons that we might continue to learn and grow from. Right? And if we think about what has happened over our country, in our country over the last however many years, or for that matter, at any point, right, that there is a certain amount of letting go and a certain amount of holding onto. And the balance between those is going to be the challenge that I think we should talk about.
One of my favorite teachings about the Exodus from Egypt is, which keys into what you just said about letting go is why did, and you'll have to forgive me, I forget who, whenever a rabbi doesn't know where something comes from, the rabbis say, because I don't remember exactly, but there's a midrash that asks, why were two messengers necessary? Why Moshe and Aaron? Why Moses and Aaron? And the answer given is that Moses was sent to take the Jews out of Egypt. Aaron was sent to take the Egypt out of the Jews. Which I've always found, I've always found that very profound, because we can physically move from one place to another. We can have a new person sitting at that desk. We all saw that yesterday when he was sitting behind the desk. I had to do a double take because it didn't seem real at first. But there's so much more to this moment of transition that we're in and that the Israelites were in, of that. How much can we let go, and then how do we let go of our past, of our slavery, of our fear?
Yeah, and what should we let go, and what should we hold on to?
Right.
Look, I think every Shabbat is Zecher L'Tziat Mitzrayim, a remembrance of the Exodus from Egypt, right? But can you imagine, right? Every Shabbat thinking about slavery. Every Shabbat, right? Like, ugh.
Yeah.
Who wants to, okay. And so what is it that is trying to teach us? I think it is less about remembering the pain that we experienced as slaves, as it is continually being reminded of the inherent worth of human beings, of preserving human dignity, of the importance of a day of rest that slaves are not afforded, that freedom is expressed in leisure study, right? And so if you think about that experience of slavery, of trying to let go, right? What are the things that we let go? What are the things that we keep? We let go of the pain, right? Hopefully we let go of physical pain, right? We let go of all of the pain of memories. And at the same time, we hold on to just enough to remind us of all of the lessons that we're going to learn.
I think that letting go of pain, I'm not sure. I wish we could let go of our pain. I wish we could. I know a number of people who are not going to let go of their pain from this last election. They're not going to let go of their pain from on either side. How do you let go of 200 years of slavery?
I'm not rushing it. Okay, Our new president called for unity, and I think that was an important message for him to give. But it's not going to happen like that. It's going to take time. But the whole notion of tshuva, right, of repentance in Judaism, is that you can seek somebody's forgiveness, right, over and over and over, and yet at a certain point, 3 times, right, if that person isn't able to let go, if you've done your work, if you've tried to repair that relationship, right, if you've paid the reparations, right, changed the political climate, okay, done your own personal accounting of your soul, your cheshbon hanefesh, right? You've done all of that work, right? And somebody else, all right, won't let it go, all right? You can't be responsible, and all you can say or all I would say is, as a rabbi to that person, is you're holding on to something that the only person you're harming is yourself. So I don't want to diminish the pain of our country right now, and the need to let things go over time. Right? But yes, over time, we do need to let them go.
I
Right?
think
And
that
actually, yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, I think that balancing act between not carrying that baggage around forever, because if you do, then Aaron did not take the slavery out of you, did not take the Egypt out of you, right? If you carry
Right.
that baggage around forever, then you are still a slave, then you are still whatever. On the
Right.
flip
The
side
truth
of
is,
that,
yeah,
go ahead.
I was going to say the truth is that we need to forget. I gave a sermon, I don't know, probably 10 years ago, right, about the need to forget. And this is in a religion where everything is about remembering. They
Sure.
say that, and I haven't checked this, but the word remember is found over 200 times in the Tanakh, in the Hebrew Bible. Okay, that's a lot, right? I mean, clearly that's an important thing. All right, but the truth is, we need to forget as individuals and as a society. As individuals, there is forgetting that we need to do so that we can subconsciously purge from our memory objectionable incidents, right? Or for that matter, there is the forgetting that we just do by sheer inertia. At the same time, we keep our consciousness fresh and vibrant by actively forgetting. We let go, not solely out of compassion, like forgive and forget, okay, but also because there's no pleasure, there's no joy, there's no optimism, there's no present without forgetfulness. Life would drag on forever unresolved. And that's from an individual standpoint. As a society, we also need to forget. In
That's
pre-modern,
that's a challenging. That's I don't
yeah,
know.
because yeah, but think
I'm
about
not.
it.
I'm not
Uh-huh.
sure I agree with that. Look, this is coming from I hold on to everything. So,
Yeah,
someone will say something negative, not even really directed toward me, and I'll carry that around. So I recognize that I do too much carrying around, but I
and
worry that
who's that benefiting? Who is that helping? Carrying all that around.
right. I hear that. I think that for me to grow, for me to know the next time that pain is coming my way, if I don't remember the last time it came, I won't be able to prepare myself. I won't be able to stop it. I won't be right. If we forget what happened on January 6th, if we forget the lies, if
Correct.
we forget the pain, if we forget slavery, then what prevents us from stopping it again?
Okay, so I think that you've honed in. So I'm going to take it a little bit further with society, and then we'll circle back. Okay, so I suggested that as a society, we also need to forget that in pre-modern societies where people's failings were observed, but they weren't recorded, okay, the limits of human memory ensured that people's transgressions were forgotten. Okay, and by letting go of its memories, society accepted that its citizens had the capacity to grow, to evolve, to adjust behavior. Here's our problem. In today's society, where everything is recorded, okay, where everything is remembered, where my stupid college actions are now on the internet forever and ever, we're forever tied to our past. we're not able to escape it. And when we're not able to let it go, we're not able to forgive it.
Okay.
I think that now we'll circle around, right? The key here is, right, that balance between, all right, the inability to forget everything and the inability to remember everything, right? Or the desire to let go of some things and hold on to others. Let go of the pain and keep the message.
Right. And just to further complicate this, I can imagine Pharaoh, after his army was destroyed, he was notably not killed when the Israelites left. I can imagine him saying to his people, "Oh, that whole slavery thing was fake news." I can imagine him, rewriting history. We had Lindsey Graham, who stood up and did the right thing recently. But I remember back when Merrick Garland, when they were trying to confirm Merrick Garland, he said, quote me on this. And then we quoted him on it. And guess what? He said, I don't care. I didn't mean, I didn't know it. So there's another element here, which is mixing memory and I don't want to say truth, but fact, and right, that I think we have a responsibility, even when everything is recorded, as you said, to perhaps let go of the pain, but not lose the memory, not so that we can be witnesses to what happened.
Correct. I think they're in doing that. Look, if somebody has no memory, right? Somebody has, the Groundhog Day experience, right? Then you're not going to grow from that, right? And there's something terribly wonderful, if I can say it, about not having a past and not having a future. You don't have to worry about being, having the ball and chain of your past that you drag around. Okay. At the same time, you don't have a future because there's no growth from that. Okay. My father-in-law, may his memory be a blessing, all right, went back to Germany. Right? Went to Germany when as an adult, as a rabbi, and forgave the generation after, all right, who came after the Nazis, right? Because if we are going to forever punish, all right, to the 1,000th generation, as we say in the Tanakh, right, we'll never get past it. And there will be no growth. There'll be no reconciliation.
That's a heavy lift. Particularly when we think about the Holocaust, that's a very heavy lift. Right?
Yeah, for sure. I understand that. Okay? But I was reading, right, in just like in the last day or so, right, a piece by Rabbi Jonathan Sachs about how we cannot be Holocaust Jews.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That something like 70, and don't quote me on this, but something like 70%, all right, of Jews see the Holocaust as integral to their identity as a Jew.
Right.
Right? If Judaism if our life is going to be about something that is so terrible as that, if that's all our life is going to be about, right? Once
Right,
again,
right,
like I'm the weight of that, it makes for no joy,
right. I've
right?
often felt like,
No
can't we
optimism,
find something more joyful to be Jewish
right?
about? Yeah,
Exactly. Uh,
yeah,
Judaism struggles with that balance between forgetting. Look, take right out of the Tanakh. All right, remember Amalek in order to blot out the memory of
right,
Amalek.
right.
You know that the explicit implication here is that the act of writing and reciting and recording and recounting verbally and uh, our history will somehow blot out the memory of what Amalek, this terrible people, did to us when we were wandering in the desert. Right.
Yeah,
So it says we're supposed to, in every generation, we've got to confront it. We read it in the Torah portion. So it's not saying forget about it and never ever speak about it, never ever um, uh, hear about it, because then it takes one generation or two generations and it's gone from memory. And then there's no lessons that's learned from it. So when we think about what has happened over just in the last few weeks, right? Should we forget about it and never speak about it again? Absolutely not. Right? But right, let's not make it what our life is about. Let's take it, let's understand it, let's dig deep, um, really get to the core of why it happened, what are the feelings that are going on, how do we address those needs, recognize that those, as reprehensible as the whole action was, and for me personally, how diametrically opposed they are, but for me to understand them as human beings and try and get at what are they feeling so that I can help repair the relationship, help them grow, help us as a country develop. That's where I think there's the
yeah,
balance.
yeah. I'm a huge fan of The West Wing, and
Me too.
yeah, and the very last episode of The West Wing, the very last scene, in fact, President Jed Bartlett and Abby are on the airplane. They're leaving.
Looking out the window.
Yes,
He's looking out the
looking out the
window.
window, and he's just finished his term, and he knows that change is on the horizon. That this is a moment of transition, and Abby asks him, "What's on your mind?" And his one word answer is
Tomorrow.
tomorrow, right? And so when we find ourselves here in this moment of transition, I imagine the Israelites perhaps also, after they crossed that Red Sea, looking back and then looking forward and saying tomorrow, right? What needs to be on our minds? Not forgetting, but focusing on tomorrow and what tomorrow can bring for us. So
Amen.
Amen. Rabbi, thank you so much for hanging out with me again. And it's nice to see that we have some people watching us. Hi, Heather. She liked our video. Folks, next week, Rabbi Litwak's going to be away, hopefully learning and enjoying with his chevra. But we are going to be back with Cantor Norman Cohen-Fala, for a special face-to-face celebrating the song of our people. Because it's Shabbat Shirah. It's the Shabbat of Song next week. So we will look forward to seeing all of you then. Rabbi Litwak, have a wonderful week. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Rabbi David.